Welcome back to Duel Alliance Podcast with your host, Alicia Solomon and Megan Hines, where every week we discuss the challenge. This week we are on the finale of the Challenge USA Season 2 on CBS/Paramount. We have got two winners this week crowned, and it is exactly who we wanted, which is probably, I want to say, like the first time I could say that in a long time. Because last USA season does not count. Like after everyone quit and it was just like a run of amok, like Danny and Sarah just came out the ass. So I feel like this week we can like concretely say like from not I will
not
say
from
from
the beginning.
Yeah, no. I'm let me do my thing and backpedal here. The only person I was rooting for concretely from the beginning to the end did prevail. So I am happy for that. I am happy for her. However, we can get to the male winner when we get there, but congratulations to him as well, because honestly, I keep saying it, I never saw it for him. And like Stevie Wonder, I can finally see. So I am excited that we got like a good wrap up of the show. Would I say overall the show was decent? I would give it like a smooth 6.5 out of 10.
I was gonna say a 7.
You know what? It's a soft 7 for me. So that's what I gave it, a 6.5.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got the winners we got. It would have been a tough blow if we got some other people, but others who we'll get to later did not get to the end. And that was glorious. But we start off the episode right away with TJ telling them that they're finally in the final, and day 1 will consist of trials that will test their strength, smart skills, and stomachs of steel to prove that they are the champion of the season and prove that they're a challenger for real. So the winners of each of the trials will receive a 1-minute time advantage for the next part of the final, which will be a 10-mile race on day 2. The last place losers on the trials will get a 1-minute time penalty, and if people feel confident and big on their britches, they can double down and take the risk during a trial. If they win that trial, they will gain a 2-minute time advantage. If they end up losing and fall short, they get a 2-minute penalty. And the players can only double down once throughout the final. And this was pretty much straightforward. I don't know, at one point I felt a little off about one of the trials, which we'll get to later on. But to start off, Desi said she was very ready for her second chance at a win, because last season on USA 1, her partner in that final just failed her and got them disqualified. Chris said he was ready to take on all the guys. He's ready to just go in and be at the top of the leaderboard for all of these trials. And Chanel said that she believed that her, Desi, and Michaela being in the final gives young Black girls hope and just a good representation of Black women on TV.
I mean, I'm excited that the 3 Black girls made it to the final that were in the main alliance from the beginning. With the exception of Tori being there, honestly, I didn't mind the 3 of them making it. Like I was rooting for them the whole time. So I'm happy that, Chanel felt exceptional that it was like 3 strong players in the finals that made it. And, Tori was there as well. Tori's a strong player too. She ain't Black. So, but like I'm glad that like the 3 of them made it together. And then of course Desi made it back, and it's in an individual contest because Enzo pissed me off last season when he decided he didn't want to swim anymore. So honestly, I'm just excited that Desi got that opportunity to redeem herself and come back in the final.
Yeah, she likened this experience to her pageant experience, where when she did Miss Virginia the first time, she lost. She did Miss Virginia the second time, and she won. and she's hoping for that second chance luck to be on her side this go around as well. And Chanel also mentioned she wanted to be her best self in this final as well because of her performances on Survivor and so far in the game. Like strictly challenges wise, Chanel hasn't been one of the best people, but her social game has led her to this point. But she is taking off that cape of imposter syndrome and really pulling her weight in this final, and that's what she wanted to do. And I will say overall she did do that, so I'm proud of her. We'll get to her status later on as well. But to start off the trials, they are doing the strength trial, where they have to drag a sled of their body weight up a hill. The first man and woman to get up the hill will gain a time advantage. The last two people will gain a penalty. And this is when TJ said, "Hey, anyone want to double up on this first one?" Corey took that chance and doubled up on this first trial out the gate because he felt he had the confidence and the will to pull more on this. But that didn't fare well for him early on. But Corey and Chris were just feet one another until they got to the end, but it just faltered for him a bit.
I mean, Corey decided to bet on himself. Corey has made it to the final 5 times prior, which when he said that, it was kind of jarring to me. I'm like, damn, you made it 5 different times and just are a loser. And when he said like he wanted his daughters to look at him not like a loser, before he said like a loser, I was like, you want your daughters to look at you like a loser because you were losing? But then, like he kind of made it up, towards the end of it. But overall, like Corey really was at the bottom of the men's totem pole this whole time. And especially with the men that were left in the final, I would say the Corey was at the bottom for me. So it honestly was not surprising that Corey just lost that round completely. But the way he did, he doubled down. That's the one and only time you can double down. And I felt like Corey's strong. He can carry his own weight. Clearly not. Chris beasting out. Like, honestly, it was just a good ending of how like all of the strength challenges and all of the skills challenges just in general, how well that some of these players are and aren't. And Chris just showed out every single time, which is just like so surprising to me. So I'm like, damn, like you're good at everything. And I don't know why.
Yeah, because Chris had a strategy, and it worked really well for him in his first one, where like he got the first 2 boxes on his sled and just willed his way to the end for the first lap going up there, and then you see other people struggling a bit at one point. And all Fessy had 2 as well, but he was just not getting to over the hump a little bit in that first one. He managed to get it afterwards, though, but it was just how Chris was just composed in himself this whole time too. That I'm like, I'm gonna give him some props because he's really been killing it. Like this whole season, he's been killing it, just digging down and just fighting himself out of holes. And now he's just composed himself throughout this whole final, and he came in with strategy, and it's been working for him thus far. After Chris was able to get all his boxes to the other side of that little hill, Fessy and Bananas actually got that next. And then Corey just lost that first trial and he gets the 2-minute time penalty. And I'm like, dang. Like go ahead. Bet on yourself. And probably would have been a little bit too early to do that, but if you had the confidence to do it and he had the strength to it, go ahead and do it. But it's like, dang, right out the gate, you get a 2-minute penalty.
Yeah, I just felt like that kind of set the tone for the next couple of rounds that Corey went through. I feel like that was a good challenge for him to bet on just because Corey is strong enough, it seems like, to carry his own weight. He just didn't have the strategy. So that was just his only hiccup. But honestly, I think that if any other time coming, Corey may have won it or at least not lose. Because that the point is just not to lose. Even if you bet on yourself, it's just whatever. It's a wasted bet. But honestly, losing is what hurts the most.
Yeah. Like, as long as we're not last, you're fine. For the women, Michaela got the win for that first trial. Chanel came in second. And then it was a rat race literally between Desi and Tori for third place. At one point, Desi got all her boxes and her sled over the hump, and she beat Tori in that last little heat. And Tori got the 1 minute time penalty as the last woman in that one. And I'm like, this is competition you wanted, Tori. So you better buckle up for this Royal Bride.
I mean, didn't feel either sad, happy, indifferent. I just, whatever. A loss is a loss. I just think that I wanted the other three to win more. I don't have any more comments. Like, Tori just kept losing, and I was just like, okay, keep on losing. I'm here for it.
This is the competition she wanted, and look at how she's been doing in the first trial. Come out the gate, just not doing great. But you go to trial 2, and it's the smarts one, where this is basically a spelling bee. And as TJ was actually saying the words, I was writing down each word. I'm like, I know these. Some of these words are very easy, a little bit tricky, a little bit. But the first man and woman with the correct spellings after 5 words get the time advantage. Last place got a penalty, and Chris and Desi were the ones to take the double down risk. And the first word was alliances. Everybody got this word correct, except for Tori, because she didn't listen, because there was the S at the end of the word. Alliances, not alliance.
I don't know what to say. Like, loser, double loser. Womp womp. Like, listen up, Chuck. I don't know.
Yeah, open your ears, because she's like, I didn't hear that. Babes, he said it like a couple times. Why didn't open your ears? The next word was schmoozing. As I wrote it, I almost spelled it wrong myself, but I was like, no, I spelled it right. Because when he said schmoozing, I thought of there's a restaurant at Disneyland. It's called Schmoozies. And I was like, that's really that same word, just with some letters switched around. But Corey decided to spell smoshing. And Chris forgot to see on schmoozing. And I'm like, Corey needs Wordle.
I don't want to say what Corey actually needs, but what I will say is that he was just sounding it out. And so he did the best that his brain could chug and do. I mean, what else can I say? It was honestly just funny to see some of the iterations of the spellings, but I think the best one was vengeance. Like, Corey literally came up with an Italian vengeance, and I was just like, okay, like, Corey, please, enough is enough. Like, I think you and Ryder need to sit down and have like a little spelling bee off so that you can kind of keep up, because I'm not sure what's happening. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, some of them misspelled words, and it's like 1 letter off, maybe 2 letters off, but I don't know what Corey was spelled. It was not even English. Like, when you spell it and you sound out what Corey wrote, literally no way in shape or form did it spell vengeance, which was like hilarious to me.
It was very Italian, like Banana said. He also spelled deceitful wrong too. And I'm like, dang. I'm like, I know people get the I and the E's really off, but that's so, to me it's so simple because I'm a speller. I know how to spell things. But it's just dang. Basically almost every word he got wrong.
Corey
Even on
did
the
note though. Corey did note that he only uses autocorrect. So, which is why I can see how he just doesn't know how to spell in this day and age. Which honestly, I don't use autocorrect on my phone. So I'm like, are you just not spelling like correctly at, like, you just writing whatever and somebody just kind of have to guess at what you're seeing, or are you doing voice notes? Like, I'm just lost at what Corey is spelling.
Or is he just using emojis the whole time? But even on Vengeance, Michaela was like, "Oh, Vengeance is in my favorite Bible verse," and Miss Bam still got the word wrong. She forgot the A, and I'm like, and she was like, "Vengeance is mine," said the Lord. And vengeance is also an A, right in the middle. But God bless your heart. She was so
She
confident about
tried.
that. I was like, yeah, she was.
Yeah,
She tried,
she
but it was
she
like,
tried.
dang, yeah. But that was like the only word she actually got wrong for the most part. So I was like, I'll give her that. And that last word, well, that wasn't last word, but at that point after vengeance, Bananas, Desi, but Bananas and Desi have 4 points after vengeance, so they were top of the leaderboard for the spelling bee. And then it got to the last word, which was ascending. I knew this word immediately, because in school when you talk about math, it has ascending and descending. I spelled it right out in my head. Everybody else got it right, so I was glad people got ascending correct. And with everybody getting it correct, that meant that Bananas and Desi won this trial. And because Desi doubled down, she got 2 extra minutes. And Bananas, because he just won this trial, got 1 minute. Um, and then now Corey has 3 minutes as a penalty. And Tori has 2 minutes as a penalty. And that's how we start off after trial 2.
Yeah, again, I was kind of like Corey is not coming off to a great start in this final, like losing the first 2 rounds, and especially after adding on an extra minute essentially because you double down. It just wasn't looking good for Corey, and honestly, he felt defeated, which I can understand. But at that point, I feel like Corey didn't give up on himself, so that's what I was happy to see at least because you don't want to do that when you're in a final. Like at this point, you just got to go all out. So I'm happy Corey didn't give up. I'm glad Desi won that round. Like she got her 2 minutes, and Tori still a loser. I have nothing for you.
I will say Corey, like he was like, I feel like a failure at this moment, but like there's still enough time for you to catch up. Just dig deep, you got it. In trial 3, we had the skills challenge where they basically had to create a puzzle where they could not get 4 in a row. So this was kind of like reverse Connect 4 in a sense. And Michaela, Bananas, and Tori, they went for double downs. And Tori and Bessie won this trial. Desi was the last woman done, so she was down 1 minute in her advantage. Corey was the last man done in this one as well, so he's now down 4 minutes. And this is when he really did start getting defeated. And this is when he was like, I think my girls might think I'm a loser because I just not getting it. But I'm like, you still have time to figure it out and get through it. So there's still more time left. There's like one more trial, and then you have tomorrow, the next day. It's all like granted, like these trials are helping with like the advantages, but as long as you stay steadfast, you can get over the hump on day 2.
For sure. And I think that also Tori winning that round helped her out for sure because she was down like 2 minutes at that point. And so it just kind of left her in a limbo of like where she's going to start. But at least she was able to get herself out of a little slump and win that round herself.
Yeah, I'll give her that at least. In trial 4, we had the stomach of steel moment where they have to eat a 4-course meal for dinner consisting of sticky tofu, puree, sauerkraut, which is mixed up in a smoothie, a warm and cricket juice situation, and wasabi cracker stacks and chili truffles. And whoever finishes 3 of them first will gain the time advantage, and last place is the time. And everyone was smart. tonight needs to double down because you never know what happens with these eating portions.
Yeah, of course, this is not my favorite portion of the show. I'm never a fan of when they start doing these eating challenges just because they just like to show vomit in slow motion and just get a whole bunch of B-roll. So I'm not a fan of this challenge. What I did find funny though was when it started and Corey was like immediately throwing up. Chris was like, I can handle eating this, but if I hear puking and throwing up, I can't. And I'm completely with him because like once you start throwing up next to me, it's like Mean Girls when like you start like when she starts throwing up and then the other person starts throwing up and it's just like everyone's throwing up at the same time. It's just like a hot ass mess. That's exactly what was going on with Chris and Corey. But like Corey took 2 bites and was throwing up on the floor. And Chris was like, come on, Corey. Like, I can't even do this standing right next to you and you're already throwing up. Like, it was just so funny. But the eating portion is always something I just like try to like fast forward through. Michaela was funny though because Michaela looked at Tori and was like, "Girl, you have like a gas station palate and I have a high class palate," and I screamed because then Tori mentioned she ate cheese and ketchup as a snack. Whatever your
Disgusting.
parents fed you is whatever your parents fed you. I'm not even gonna go in on that meal, but some had it different than others. That's all I can say because that is not even. I don't, child.
And that's a random concoction that is blank people shit, basically. I ain't never heard.
Like, I've never heard of the ketchup. Like, I've seen people eat like cheese out the packet and stuff like that, like the little cheese string joints or whatever. I'm not a cheese person, so I don't eat cheese. So I would have starved. But like, I've seen people just eat random cheese. That's one thing. But like with the ketchup on it is crazy. Like I've gone through
Yeah.
some tough times. Little cinnamon sugar bread. That's cool. But I'm not about to eat no ketchup and cheese. Like, you ain't got no bread with it. You ain't putting it on a sandwich. You ain't putting it on no crackers. Just straight up cheese and ketchup is crazy. And when Michaela clocked it and said like that's like a gas station palate, I immediately chuckled because that is exactly what that is.
Girl, like her taste is horrendous. In food and in men. Digress. But also bananas, he was like, oh, since I've done a lot of these eating challenges before, I'm not gonna try and eat this dry stuff. Like I'm not about to eat this wasabi cracker because that's gonna hinder me. So he was mainly focused on the smoothie. I think he also did the worms, and I think he did the truffle at the end. But he was like, I'm not touching that cracker. Y'all can have that. I'm just going to focus on the smooth liquids and that be it. So, props for him for having some type of strategy when everybody else is just vibes. And I want to say props to Fessy for actually finishing up this eating challenge too, because I know we got on him at one point for not finishing it. But I feel like in that situation, that's compounded by him having a partner that was hurt, and he just didn't feel like finishing. But he finished eating his food on this one, so props to him for that.
100%. That was what it was. And Johnny's been doing this for 20 years. Of course he has strategy. What else is he going to have? Like, you need to.
Yep, and with that, Bananas and Tori actually win the time advantage for this trial. Fessy and Desi were right behind them in second. For that, Chris Michaela managed to finish. Michaela was struggling, but she was like, I'm gonna get this down. She got it down. Corey and Chanel were the last people to finish, and Corey now has 5 minutes as a time penalty. So, like I said, the next day you can make up that time. So it's all good in the hood with that. So we're gonna move on to the night challenge, which was even a night challenge. They didn't get a night challenge because they didn't show it. These are like y'all go chill out, y'all have a good night, have a good sleep. But there's actually a night challenge that happened, but it just didn't factor into how the next day would be, so they just didn't show it.
Do you want to elaborate on that? No one else saw it. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay. So Michaela had expanded this on a live last night, saying that they did do a night challenge. It had to be right before we saw them go make that fire, but that I don't know exactly what the challenge was, but I saw still of them standing on things. But we didn't see it. So with that, and also she said it didn't factor into the timings and the winners. They didn't show it, but they did that for I don't know how much time because they did look a bit disheveled that following morning. Like they got sleep, which is fine, but some of them still looked a little bit off right when they first started.
I mean, I guess it would make sense because honestly, after the challenges and them just showing them going back to camp, like Chanel was like her feet are numb, she can't feel her hands, she's cold, everyone's complaining about how they feel. And so that probably added a factor on into it since they were out there at night in the cold that we just didn't get to see. But I mean, overall, I wasn't really upset about them not having a night challenge or an overnight challenge, how they usually do, where like one person stands up, another person sleeping, getting to like all that bullshit. Like, let them sleep because 10 miles is crazy. So, whoever scrapped it or whatever happened, like, I'm not mad at how the final played out.
Yeah, it was just like odd. Like people like I immediately started seeing people show like Banana show like, oh, someone had posted the screen cap, and then Banana said, oh, y'all didn't even see what we did. And then last night Michaela said that, and I'm like, well, if it didn't factor in, it didn't factor in. But you can tell the next day, like they got rest, but still looked a little bit off. So I'm glad that at least they got the rest that they needed, but they still looked a little bit off to me that morning. But on day 2, that's when we're gonna get the 10-mile race that sends them up a mountain with different rest stations along the way. And they could opt out of actually doing the first 2 stations, but if they did complete them, they would get a bit of advantage. If they got it wrong, then there would be consequences. So they kind of technically had to do those first 2 stations because everybody did those stations. Because that was a little bit kind of weird with that rule. Like, okay, we can opt out of doing it, and you can move on. But literally, everybody did those first 2 stations because they wanted to risk it and see what that advantage was. But it wasn't that much of an advantage.
But the first one was with the half a mile, like the 1.2 mile break. After that, and then the next one was the ATV, I think. But otherwise to that, like, I mean, it was an advantage. It was just like how when they got there, like how many people was there, because at one point Michaela got to the second station along with Desi, like they were side by side the whole time, and Tori had got there, or somebody had got there, and she had to just leave because she couldn't wait. So she was just like, fuck it, I guess I won't do it, I'll just keep going. So she was probably the only person out of everyone that got to that station and just didn't complete it.
Yeah. But it's just, okay, I'm like, okay, you can opt out, okay, but it actually helps. So, like, everybody, for the most part, did it. So, I don't know why they said, oh, you can opt out of doing it. It helped and it didn't help. But the last man and woman to get to the second station were eliminated. So, you had to do it. You had to at least do something to get to that next part. So, but they had to head starts. Bananas had his 2-minute one, and he got off the races. Chris, Desi, Michaela, Tori, and Fessy had their 1-minute head start. They were fine. Chanel had her 1 minute penalty, so she had to wait. And then Corey had his 5 minute penalty. And TJ joked like, "Hey, you want to take a nap?" He's like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm well rested. Let's go." And I was like, I love the energy. He had pondered on like how he went through first day, and he's like, "I'm just gonna tuck it up to whatever, and I'm just gonna focus on today."
Yeah. And I think that Corey was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna shake off yesterday. I have day 2. Even though I'm starting in the back of the pack, I can make it up. So that's really all you want to see from Corey. And honestly, he was just like, listen, I ain't got nothing but time at this point. I'm just sitting here waiting with TJ at this point. So I mean, as long as he got there, like that's really all that matters. So I'm not tripping off that, Corey.
Yeah. And so the risk run station was axe throwing, and immediately Bananas and Chris, they hit their axes on the target, and they were gone and off to the short path. Fessy made it with them, but he went through all of his axes, and he had to go down the long way. But he didn't go down the long way. He went down the short way.
And which, I mean, I'm not completely sure why they didn't stop him and say, hey, you're going the wrong way. But I'm not mad that they didn't do that. Like, it just is what it is. But it's just like, you didn't hit. So once you see Bananas, like, the thing for me is once he like missed it, picked up the rock and he went the wrong way. Clearly, if you saw Bananas and Chris hit and you see Bananas in your rear view, why are you even in any race with Bananas? That clearly means you're going the wrong way. But he was not thinking at that point. He was obviously like, listen, I just want to get to the second one. I missed one. It is what it is. But I was just thinking, like, if you see Bananas and you know that he just got it, clearly you're going the wrong way, dude. So once he got up there and then had to go back, I was like, you know what? Karma. Like, karma is a bitch. Like, she'll come back to bite you real quick because it just, you know what? And I was rooting for Fessy a little bit. Like, I was just like, at least give me something. But as you would say, Megan, you win stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So
Yeah. My only thought is to like, and when Fessy said last week on Twitter that, oh, Josh would have won this final, I'm sorry to tell you again, he would not.
he didn't even win the final, so I don't even know why he even would say that. Like, please.
No, I was like, once I saw like how he did, I'm like, you really think that Josh would have been down that short round too, and that wouldn't have been right for him either. So look at y'all, no money, and at home, it's okay. But Michaela was able to get her target, and she ran off that one. Desi was done after that with her. They were neck and neck to that next station, and Corey Chanel caught up very well, and they're making up a lot of time because once Chanel got hers, Cora was right behind her, and they were off to the next station. Chris made it to risk station number 2 by himself first, where they had to balance rocks, and I don't think Chris actually got it fully balanced. Like, it was a little off.
It was. I mean, I really wasn't paying attention, but it did look like his was like a little levered. But I don't know how they were measuring it. I'm not sure if it was just like a complete imbalance of scale, or did they weigh them and they had something on the side. I'm not sure. But as opposed to how the others looked once they went, like when Desi won, when Bananas got it, well, Bananas didn't get it. But when Desi got it, and when Chanel, Court, etc., when everyone else got theirs were like completely balanced, and it just was, leveled out. Chris, on the other hand, was a little questionable. I don't know if it was just like a first go around and they were like, all right, Chris, just go ahead. But either way, Chris got in the ATV and like skedaddled out of there. So I mean, Chris had good luck on his side on that one because honestly, it just did make sense. He was just the first guinea pig in that situation.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna let it slide and let it be it. Because, like you said, bananas didn't even get all the way done. Like, it was just not balanced at all. It was fully lopsided for bananas. Um, Desi was able to get hers fully balanced. And that was when Michaela and her got there at the same time, and it's only one per person. That's when Michaela was like, I'm just gonna not do it, and I'm just gonna take the route and let it be that way. But once Desi was able to balance her scale, she was off to the races in her ATV, managed at one point to actually pass Michaela on her ATV on that route. Bananas misdid the scale. He had to go the route as well. And that helped Corey and Chanel because they both were basically in third place and they balanced their scales, got their ATVs, and just passed everybody else. So I was like, they're making a good time.
Yeah, and especially for Corey, who started, with the 5 minute backlog. Like Corey was in a great spot, honestly. Like once he finished that second round and was in third, got his ATV, like it was all good. And I feel like because Fessel had to go backwards and redo it all over again, Tori had to take the long route because she missed all of her axes. Like it kind of just was, it was what it was. And I completely forgot that somebody was getting eliminated on that second risk station. So when Tori got there and it was like, hey, you're the last woman, you're leaving, whatever it said, I was like, oh shit, I forgot this was happening. Well, bye, sis. Like, have a safe travels. And, Fessy came right along behind her and was like, that was just it. And what a way to end for them, for their season. I feel like they did a lot of politicking and, maneuvering in the house as they always do, but just came up short. And yeah, the same women that you wanted in the final, Tori, you got in the final. So be careful what you ask for next time. I feel like maybe you need to bring some of your layups with you rather than just try to have all of the strong people. But I'm not mad at it because obviously I'm with the Black women that are on the show. But at the same time, Tori should know better. It is what it is.
Yep, you got the competition you wanted, and look where it got you. Fourth place. Like, you come back after winning, and you're like, oh, I want to work with the strong people. When you get actual competition, you falter. Because she won against layups. Because Nani was a layup. And she had bananas. And Anissa with a layup. She had Jordan. I'm
Listen,
sorry.
we the names are just, they're making my ears ring, please.
Anyways, but also Fessy stays in fourth place. So with that, hey, try again next time. Be smarter next time. Work smarter and harder next time.
Or
Because
just
you didn't have
follow directions. Follow directions. I feel like honestly he would have been fine. Like if he even would have went the long route, he would have still probably got up, like been past Corey. But the fact that he had to go and come back is what hurt him. Honestly, like he probably would have went third, and Corey probably would have gotten fourth place. I'm not gonna hold you. Like that's probably what it was looking like for me. But it was just the fact that he had to go and come back that kind of messed him up. But ultimately, it's like, listen, you get to that point, this whole season is kind of like a different Fessy in terms of how he's moving, but same old, same old. Like you want to get to the win so bad that you're not even focused completely. And one misstep got you a loss. It is what it is. I'm glad you ate your food though. Like this time around. Congratulations.
yeah, this eat his food and this be smart. So I don't want him to be barking on Twitter about playing in finals when you come in fourth every single time. That's it. We get to station number 3, and that's where people be stacking the eliminated players in order. And Chris immediately got it, ran off, knocked it down, ran off. Corey was able to get up there next because he beat Bananas because Bananas was walking up that trail. He was done. Desi got it as well. Bananas, Chanel, and Michaela were able to get up there and do the stackable puzzle, and they finished that as well. Now it's just a matter of whoever makes it to TJ wins this whole thing.
I mean, you can just rip the band-aid off. Chris made it to the top. Desi made it to the top. Michaela never even made it. Like, Michaela was eating crackers on the side of the road, confused, dazed, lost, and just winded. I don't know what happened to Michaela. They never even followed up. Like, they literally left us with Michaela just sitting on the side of the road and two Croatian ambulance people like, yeah, she can't finish. Like, okay, thank you. Like, I'm not even sure what was happening there, but okay, cool. I'm glad Corey made second though. Like, even though Corey was discouraged, last place the whole day before, like everything last, he made it second. However, he did not win. I mean, it is what it is, Corey. This is just like your sixth final at this point. Like, come on. But you made second. So I can't really be mad at that, along with Bananas too. Like, even though Bananas is 40 years old, Corey, pat yourself on the back at least. Like, you got that. Bananas, whatever, dude. Like, he wanted to have like a little what is the word? Participation win, right? Yes. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just glad I made it. You know, a win is a win. It's like, you did not win. You came in third. Like, please stop it. But I guess his appearance fee still cleared, so it is what it is. Shout out to Desi for coming back second season and winning, like, as she should. I feel like her redemption this season was stamped, and I just felt overjoyed for her, like watching her emotions and just how she felt, and just like her just like letting that release out on that mountaintop. I was just so happy to see her win. And honestly, when Chanel made it, I was like so happy to see her make it as well, because Chanel for the whole season have really just been in the background, but had the opportunity to just have the right alliances to play her game. So it just went well for Chanel, and she actually showed up. She didn't quit. She didn't, she just made it. At least she was there. That's as much as I can say for some other people on the show. But overall, like, seeing Chris and Desi like complete that, I'm like, all right, I'm actually happy to see this winning situation here and not anyone else. Even though Corey would have been a good story, not gonna lie, but I'm glad that Chris, after all his bullshit, listen, Chris started off very rough, rocky, and I was just like, who is this fool? Like, I see why you didn't deserve to win Survivor. Like, you're so lame, dude. But honestly, like, I feel like he humbled himself and kind of got himself back together and was able to mend relationships that he really messed up to begin with, because he was just lying and just trying to play a game that he really didn't know how to play. So once Chris got his act together, I was okay with him.
Once Chris was knocking people out one by one in elimination, I was like, hey, I like this guy. He's lame, but I like this guy. He's going into Green against the vets. Now they gave him a reason to really not like them and go at them and best them. I like this guy. He beat Fessy. He beat Bananas. I'm glad he beat Fessy, because after Fessy kept saying his name multiple times, Chris had a reason to have that man on his bulletin board to beat. And he did. And I'm happy that he was the winner. Like, he was not who I thought was going to win initially. I had that man ninth in my draft. I did not know that man. I didn't know his resume. I just knew he won that one season, and that was it. But he came in, beat Dusty, he snatched the ginger man, and he just kept crying his way out of everything. And I'm happy for him. I'm glad he won. Obviously, I'm excited that Desi won because, like we said, we've been saying this whole time, like she really deserved this next win, this first win actually because of last year. And I just want to say too, we gotta challenge USA winners without anyone actually quitting or DQing. Because last year, to be
Michaela.
honest, okay, aside from Michaela, I'm saying
I mean, you don't make a blanket statement and then say exception. Like Michaela did
okay,
DQ,
she did,
sadly,
yes.
but it was not as bad as last season. I will
Yes,
give you that.
that's what I was trying to say. We're like last season in the final, everybody basically DQ'd for the most part, and we got the winners that we got last year. Danny was on his own little mountain like Chris was in this, and then Sarah just happened to just come up there and was winner by default for women. But we have actual good winners this season, and it was fair and square, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the season as well. It made me excited for what is to come if they end up doing this again, the season again, like the show again for CBS. Because if you have the right people on the show, it makes for good TV. Just don't give me the same veterans again because I'm tired of them. If you want to cap that format again, please don't.
I mean, I think that's with every season that we watch now. Like when they add the veterans or the people that we know, it's always the same people that they call. So it's just, I don't really have any faith on how they're going to do that moving forward. But I do think it's a good crop of people that they are casting from the CBS shows. So whether it's from Survivor, Big Brother, Love Island, or Love Island's no longer on that network, but you know what I mean. Like the crop of people that they've been casting have been good enough to be on the show. So I'm not mad at that part of casting. It's honestly just the regular challenge vets that we see every single time because we see you on the main show, we see you on the side show, we see you on the other like we see you too much, bro. Sit down. Let some other people get some shine. Let other people get a shot. That's why I'm glad that two people who are not related to the show at all won because I'm just like, bro, at least they're on this network and they're actually running the show. Like, please. So again, congratulations to Chris and Desi for winning this season. And now we move on to season 39 next week. So that will be another season with vets, but not in the way that we expect. So I'm actually happy about that twist. But we'll get to season 39 next week when it comes on.
Yes. And also, really quick, I just want to recap who we had in our drafts that made it in the finals on our teams. You had the winner in Desi. She was your first pick. You had Bananas, who was your last pick in the draft, who ended up being in third place. And you had Chanel, who was your fourth pick, who ended up in second. Props to you. You got the winner, one of the winners.
Not too shabby, honestly. And I mean, a lot of the people I went off of not knowing, like Chanel, I never watched her gameplay on Survivor for her season. Desi, I knew Desi from last season, so I wanted her to win. So I'm glad that she came out on top. And then Bananas is what Bananas is. So yeah.
And then on my team, I had the co-winner in Chris. And then I had, who was my ninth pick? I didn't know that man. I didn't watch, like we always say, you don't watch Survivor, but he showed up on here and he showed out. I had Michaela as my first pick, who came in technically third because she was in third place. So I'll give her that. I had Tori out of my 11th pick, who ended up in fourth. Corey, I had my second pick, who ended up being second. And then Bessie, who was also my seventh pick and ended up eliminated at fourth. So we had a good crop of finalists on both of our teams.
I mean, we were going to anyway. It's kind of just split both ways. Like
Yeah.
mathematically, it kind of was gonna be what it was. But you've had more of people that were in the finals on your team ultimately. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever. We'll figure it out offline because I really don't know what this means anymore.
Yeah, same. I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do? But we'll figure it out. But now we're going to get into some of the tweets from this week's episode. And there are a lot of fun tweets this week, as usual. The first tweet is Michaela didn't need to drag Tori like that. I don't got a gas station pallet like that. Everybody was gagged. When she said that, you was gagged, I was gagged, the whole audience was gagged. I'm like, hey, clock her. Clock her again for me.
No, I mean, that's kind of wild because, like, you know exactly what she means when she says it. And this was before Tori mentioned, like, the snack that her father was feeding her. Like, so it was kind of just just one big circle closing. When Tori said what she said, I'm like, damn, now she really do got a gas station.
And like I said, she has it in food and in men. And that's that. The next tweet actually comes from Johnny Bananas himself saying, for Christmas, I'm buying Corey Warden a learn a word a day calendar. Because that man needs a calendar, he needs Wordle, he needs a crossword puzzle, he needs something.
I think he just needs to play Scrabble more or Wordle, like you said. Like, not even reading the calendar is going to be enough because he's going to forget the calendar. Like, he needs to know how to spell these words and not just sounding them out and spelling them out. Like, he don't even know phonetics. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, how do you get smoushing from smoozing?
Schmoozing.
And smoushing don't sound the same.
This is what I'm saying. Like, he's phonetically trying to spell it out and it's not clicking.
No. The next tweet. So basically, the Challenge USA belongs to Survivor. Because last year, obviously, Danny and Sarah. This year, Desi and Chris. And let's get more people on here. There's one person, there's two people actually, who actually cover the show because they're also from Survivor and they got people on the show. I want Wendell and Bryce. They're both on Survivor. They were both on Survivor on different seasons, but they cover the show and they're like, Wendell actually contacted for USA last year, but he couldn't do it because his son was being born. But he's a Survivor winner, and people would like him. I would have liked to see him on here too. I think he would do well. He's one of those strong people that you would want on the show too. So, but I wanted to say that about Survivor because there are a lot of good Survivor people that are out there that could keep on the mantle on this show if they continue to do this show for a longer period of time as well, because it's done well thus far and people actually like it.
I mean, yeah, the past 2 seasons have been subpar or like a little bit more than decent. It's better than the main show for the most part in terms of how it plays out. So I'm not mad at a third season. Just like I said, continue to cast the correct people, and I can see them completely switching over to CBS as it seems like they want to do.
Yeah, and when they do, please give us more Amazing Race people that y'all think that will actually compete, because of the casting thing, obviously, but we haven't got a lot of people from Amazing Race that have been on here. We've only had 5, technically. 4, yes.
It's 4. It's literally James and somebody else from last season, and then the firefighter and Dusty from this season. So it's been real
5.
slow.
It's 5 because it was Caleb and James, and then it was somebody else from Amazing Race last year. It was 3 of them.
Okay.
It was another Luis, I think. I forget. The one that had, yeah, never mind. It was 3 last season, and then obviously 2 from this season. Because the other guy, I'm forgetting his name, he was elimination. He had a situation on the show. But yeah. As I said, put more people from that show on there because that makes them a target from day one. And they need people from that show on there too. If they also try and put people from Buddy Games on here, that'll be funny because that's a new CBS show. So we'll see how that goes down the road. But the next tweet, after being in the house target almost all season long, Chris Underwood pulled off the win in his rookie season, won 4 eliminations, and gagged the other challengers. I'm so proud of him. That's the tea. I like it. That's the last tweet actually.
Yeah, I mean that kind of wraps up the season. Again, great winners. I give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. And yeah, so thank you guys for listening. If you would like to follow us on Twitter, you can at Duel Alliance Pod. You can follow Megan at Megson Hines, and you can follow myself at Ace_S5. We will be back next week to start season 39 of the challenge on MTV. I think it's called Battle for a New Champion. So yeah, thank you guys for listening and see you next week. Have a good weekend. Peace out.
Bye.